Has anyone ever told you how life really feels after 80? Not just the physical changes, but the quiet shifts. The growing stillness in your home. The sense that the world has moved on without you. That your body, your relationships, even your place in the world is slowly changing. And no one warned you. It would feel this way. It can feel like you've been left to figure it all out on your own. One unexpected truth at a time. If you've ever felt like things are getting harder in ways you can't quite explain, this video is for you. We're going to explore 6 painful, yet very real truths that many older adults experience after turning 80. Not to make you feel worse, but to help you feel seen, and to remind you you're not alone in this. Because naming the truth doesn't make it heavier. Sometimes it makes it easier to carry. Turning 80 is a powerful milestone. It's a number that carries weight, history, and quiet wisdom. You've seen so much loved deeply, lost dearly, raised families, built careers, endured storms, and celebrated beautiful, ordinary days. There's a richness in reaching this age that no one can take away from you. But what people don't always talk about is how different life can begin to feel after 80. It's not just about doctor visits or gray hair or slower steps. It's about something deeper. The way time begins to feel thinner, the way your memories start to speak louder than the conversations around you, the way the world seems to move just a little too fast. While you're craving something slower, something simpler, you start to notice things others don't. How people speak to you has changed, how often they check in or don't, how your body no longer listens the way it used to, how the calendar feels emptier, even when the day is full. These aren't always dramatic changes. In fact, that's what makes them so hard to describe. They come quietly and stay. And the hardest part, no one really prepares you for it. Not your doctor, not your family, not society. That's why this video exists. We're not here to focus on loss. We're here to bring light to the reality. Many older adults are living through quietly. We're here to name what others don't say out loud and maybe give you words for feelings you've carried alone. In this video, we'll explore 6 painful truths about life after 80. These aren't just facts, they're emotional, personal shifts that reshape how you experience the world. They're not meant to scare you or bring sadness, they're meant to offer recognition, relief, maybe even a little peace. Because when you finally understand what's happening, and that it's not just you, it gets easier to face. You're not becoming weaker. You're becoming wiser. And wisdom, in this chapter of life, might look like slowing down, setting boundaries, choosing peace over pressure, and finally, putting yourself first. So, let's walk through this gently. Together, one of the most unexpected parts of aging is realizing how much smaller your world becomes and how silently it happens. It doesn't always begin with a dramatic moment. Sometimes it starts with one friend moving away, then another stops calling. A weekly lunch gets canceled and never rescheduled. Before you know it, days pass with fewer visits, fewer phone calls, fewer voices in the room. And it's not that you've done anything wrong. It's just life shifted. Friends get sick. Some pass away. Family members get busy. The people who used to be part of your everyday routine slowly fade into the background. Not because they stopped caring, but because everyone's life moves forward in different directions. Take Eleanor, for example. She's 84 now. She used to host Sunday dinners, babysit the grandkids, meet her neighbors for morning coffee. These days, her Sundays are quieter. Her phone doesn't ring as often, and the silence, though gentle, sometimes feels heavy. That's the thing, this change doesn't usually come with a bang. It comes like a whisper. And one day, you look around and realize your once full social calendar now has wide, open spaces. This shrinking world can feel confusing, even painful. You may ask yourself, did I do something wrong, or why don't they visit like they used to? But most of the time, the answer has nothing to do with you. It's just the natural rhythm of aging. What makes it harder is that no one talks about this. No one warns you that emotional loneliness can show up even when you're physically fine. You might be surrounded by people but still feel invisible, like the world forgot to leave a seat for you at the table. But here's the gentle truth. It's okay to feel this way. You're not alone in this experience. Many older adults go through it, silently wondering the same things you are. And while your social world may have gotten smaller, your ability to connect hasn't disappeared. Sometimes, one heartfelt conversation can fill the space of 10 shallow ones. Sometimes, peace is found in a letter, a walk, or simply hearing a friendly voice. Your presence still matters. Even if the room is quieter, your life is still full of meaning. In your younger years, a sore back or a small cold might have slowed you down for a day or two, but you bounced back quickly. You hardly gave it a second thought. But after FIAS, things change. The body doesn't recover the way it used to. A mild cough can linger for weeks. A bruise takes longer to fade. A single night of poor sleep can leave you feeling off balance for days. The smallest health issue now feels bigger, and often becomes bigger, because your body simply needs more time, more rest, more care. That change can feel frustrating. You may wonder, why does it take me so long to feel normal again? Or worse, you might start blaming yourself. Maybe I'm just not strong anymore. But this isn't weakness. It's reality. As we age, the body becomes more sensitive. Our immune system slows down. Muscles lose their elasticity. Healing becomes a slower process, not because you've done anything wrong, but because that's how the body adapts over time. Take Harold, for example. He's 86. A few years ago, he slipped in the bathroom. Not a bad fall, just enough to bruise his hip. In his 60 seconds, he would have shaken it off in a day or two. But this time, it took weeks. Not because he wasn't trying, but because his body was telling him something important. I need more time. Please don't rush me. That's the truth. Many older adults are learning to accept even the little things now deserve big attention. And the more you respect those signals, hydrating, resting, listening to pain, asking for help, the more you protect the strength you still have. This isn't about giving in to age. It's about living wisely with it, because healing doesn't happen on your old timeline anymore. It happens on your body's terms. And that's not a failure. That's wisdom. One of the hardest things to explain about aging is how you can be in a room full of people and still feel invisible. It's not that anyone is being unkind, but you start to notice the small shifts. People interrupt more. They talk over you. They speak faster, as if they assume you won't keep up. Sometimes you share a memory or an opinion, and no one responds. The conversation moves on like you never spoke. You feel yourself shrinking, not in size, but in presence. It's a strange kind of loneliness. Not being alone, but being overlooked, unheard, passed by. Take Darlene Bashar. She used to be the center of every family gathering, telling stories, giving advice, organizing holidays. But now, she finds herself sitting quietly at the edge of the room. Her stories go unheard. Her words land softly, without much notice. I haven't changed, she says, but the way people see me has. This is one of aging's quietest truths. The world starts to look past you, even when you're right there. And it can hurt, because deep down, You still have so much to give, so much you've lived, so much you've learned. You are still you. The hardest part is that no one prepares you for this kind of fading. It doesn't come from illness. It doesn't come from weakness. It comes from a world that moves too fast to pause and listen. But here's what you need to remember. Your voice still matters. You carry decades of wisdom, kindness, humor, and resilience. You may not speak the loudest, but what you say carries weight. Even if fewer people stop to listen, your words are still worth saying. So keep sharing. Keep showing up. You're not invisible. You are simply walking in a world that sometimes forgets to slow down. There comes a quiet shift in life, so subtle, you might not even notice it at first. One day, you find yourself hesitating before picking up the phone. You pause, thinking, I shouldn't bother them right now. You say I'm fine even when your back aches or your heart feels heavy just to avoid causing worry. You skip lunch with a neighbor or cancel a ride to the store, not because you don't want to go, but because you don't want to inconvenience anyone. Deep down, what's growing is a silent, aching fear, the fear of becoming a burden. It's a fear rooted not in weakness, but in love. You care deeply for your children, your friends, the people who've grown up around you. You've spent a lifetime giving, and now, the last thing you want is to feel like you're taking too much space, too much time, too much effort, so you start shrinking yourself in small ways. You smile through discomfort. You stop asking for help. You begin holding back quietly, stepping into the background of your own life. But here's what makes that fear so dangerous. It slowly isolates you. It chips away at connection. The very thing you want most, companionship, closeness, being seen, starts slipping through your fingers. Not because others stop caring, but because you stop believing they want to show up for you. Take Richard Bashawu. His son used to drive him to church every Sunday. Richard loved those mornings. But then, he started saying, "Don't worry about it. I'll stay home this week." Not because he wanted to, but because he didn't want to be too much. So he stayed home week after week. And the pew where he used to sit, surrounded by music and smiles, remained empty. What we don't always realize is this: the people who love you want to help. They don't see you as a burden. They see you as a gift. They want to be there for you, just like you were there for them through every scraped knee, every heartbreak, every growing up moment. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Letting someone carry the groceries, drive you to an appointment, or simply sit and listen isn't an inconvenience. It's connection. It's trust. It's love in motion. So please, don't let fear build a wall between you and the people who care. You are not a burden. You are needed. You are loved. And you are still giving. Just by being here. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no grand announcement, no single moment that marks the change. Instead, your world begins to narrow in the quietest, subtlest ways. First, you stop driving at night. Then, weekend trips to the grocery store become too tiring or too crowded. Soon, even activities you once loved, going to church, visiting friends, taking a walk around the block, start to feel like too much. Without meaning to, you find yourself spending more time at home, surrounded by things that feel safe and familiar. Your favorite chair, the rhythm of the clock on the wall, the comfort of routine. And at first, it feels okay. Predictable days can be peaceful. There's no pressure, no rush. You know exactly what to expect, and that brings a quiet sense of control. Morning coffee tastes the same. Your afternoon nap happens at just the right time. The TV plays shows you've watched for years. You tell yourself you're content, but slowly, gently, something starts to shift inside. You begin to notice the silence, the sameness, the sense that while the world is still turning. You're no longer moving with it. It's not that you don't want to engage. It's that engaging takes more energy than it used to. Crowded spaces feel overwhelming. New places feel exhausting. Even pleasant surprises can feel like too much. So little by little, you say no more than you say yes. And you don't even realize how small your world has become until one day you look around and realize how long it's been since something truly new entered your life. This is what happened to Margaret. She's 87 now, and she used to love museums. She could spend hours walking through exhibits, studying paintings, learning about ancient history. But over time, the thought of driving downtown, walking long halls, and navigating crowds started to feel impossible. It's just too much now, she says. So instead, she stays home and watches old travel shows on TV. It's not quite the same, but it feels easier. And that's the quiet truth. Many older adults live through the line between comfort and confinement is thin. What once felt like peace slowly becomes stillness. Stillness becomes routine. Routine becomes isolation. You stop discovering. You stop surprising yourself. You stop being surprised by life, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Reclaiming your world doesn't require grand adventures or tiring efforts. It might be as simple as visiting an old cafe you haven't been to in years. Sitting on a park bench and listening to the laughter of strangers. Taking a different route on your afternoon walk. Saying yes to a neighbor's invitation, even if only for a short while. These little moments, tiny acts of curiosity, can slowly open doors you didn't even realize had closed. The world is still out there. It hasn't stopped offering beauty, connection, surprise. And even at 80, Bashawu, or 90, you are still allowed to explore it. The size of your world isn't about how far you travel. It's about how much life you let in. So if things have grown too quiet, don't blame yourself. You've been protecting your energy. You've been choosing what feels safe. That's okay. But maybe, just maybe, there's a little more life waiting just outside your front door. There's a strange shift that happens with age 1 that's hard to explain unless you've lived through it. You can feel perfectly fine one day, and then no warning. No clear reason, just a deep fatigue. As soon as a sense that your body is doing something different, and you're not quite sure why. One morning, your legs feel strong. The next, they feel shaky walking down the hallway. You sleep through the night and still wake up exhausted. You eat something you've always eaten, and suddenly it upsets your stomach. You sit for a while and find it hard to stand again. And worst of all, it changes every day. There's no rhythm, no consistency, no clear rule book. And that unpredictability can be one of the most frustrating parts of aging. You start to lose trust in your body. You hesitate before saying yes to plans. You worry, what if I'm not feeling well that day? You cancel things you were looking forward to, not because you want to, but because you simply don't know how you'll feel. That loss of control is deeply unsettling. Your body, which carried you through a lifetime raising children, building a home, dancing, traveling, working now, feels unfamiliar. It doesn't always cooperate. It no longer responds the way it used to. And in that uncertainty, fear creeps in. You wonder, is this the start of something worse? You become hyper-aware of every little symptom. You feel vulnerable in ways you never expected. But here's what matters most. You are not broken. You are changing. Your body is not betraying you. It's doing its best every single day with the energy it has left. I think of it like this. You've been running a marathon for decades. You've climbed hills, weathered storms, carried others. And now, your body is tired, not weak, but wise. It needs more time. It needs more care. It needs more listening. Take Louise Bashitio. She used to walk to the mailbox every morning. One day, she made it halfway and had to turn back. The next week, she felt fine again. Then, the week after, her legs wouldn't cooperate. I never know what I'll get, she says. Some days, I'm steady. Some days I feel like a stranger in my own skin. And that's the truth. So many seniors live with the body becomes unpredictable. Not because you've done something wrong, but because that's how the body ages, not in a straight line, but in waves. The key is not to fight it, but to flow with it. On the hard days, you rest. On the steady days, you savor them. You let go of the pressure to be how you used to be and start honoring how you are now. That might mean shorter walks, more naps, slower mornings. It might mean asking for help without guilt, or rescheduling plans with kindness towards yourself. None of this means giving up. It means adjusting, like you always have. Through every season of life, your body is still yours, still strong in its own way, still worthy of patience, gentleness, and deep respect. So when your body surprises you, and it will try to meet it not with anger, but with compassion. After all, it's carried you this far, and it's still carrying you now. If you recognized yourself in any part of this, please take a deep breath and know this. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're not being overly sensitive. You're not doing life wrong. You're simply navigating a season of life that few people talk about and even fewer truly understand. Aging isn't just about gray hair or slower steps. It's about finding your way through a world that gets quieter, more fragile, and sometimes lonelier. It's about waking up with more memories than plans, more questions than answers, and still choosing to move forward each day. There's no handbook for this stage of life. No one hands you a map and says, here's how to handle all the change. So please, give yourself credit for showing up, for making it this far. Even on the hard days, even when you feel uncertain, you're still here. You're still trying. And that is an act of quiet strength. You don't have to pretend to be okay all the time. You don't have to keep up. You just have to be real with yourself. And with those who care, there is no perfect way to age. There's only your way, imperfect, honest, brave. So if lately you felt tired or a little lost, let this remind you, you're not broken. You're human. And in all the ways that matter most, you are still enough. Growing older is often portrayed as a quiet decline, less energy, fewer connections, more limitations. But if you've listened this far, you know the truth is far more layered. Yes, life after Fias brings challenges. It narrows your world. It shifts your body in unexpected ways. It can make you feel invisible, uncertain, or even burdensome. But it also reveals something deeper, something many people never get the chance to see. You begin to understand what truly matters. You notice the small things, the way the sun hits your window in the morning, the comfort of a familiar chair, the power of a kind word. You realize that being alive isn't about moving fast or doing more. It's about being present. Even in the slowness, there's a quiet wisdom that only age can bring. A softness, a perspective, a strength that comes not from pushing through, but from allowing, accepting, and still choosing to care. So if your world has changed, that doesn't mean you've lost your place in it. If your body feels different, that doesn't mean you've lost your value. If you need more rest, more support, more gentleness, it doesn't make you less. It makes you human. It makes you real. It makes you worthy. You don't have to chase your old self to be whole again. You are not living in the shadow of who you once were. You are still becoming every single day. And even if life looks different now, it is still life. Still yours? Still sacred. If you've made it this far, thank you for giving yourself the space to reflect, to feel, and to listen. Talking about the difficult truths of aging isn't easy. It takes courage to name what hurts, what's changed, and what feels unfair. But in naming those things, we begin to reclaim them. We begin to soften the sting with understanding and replace fear with clarity. Maybe your world has grown quieter. Maybe your body surprises you in ways it never used to. Maybe you felt the sting of being overlooked or the ache of outliving people you love deeply. All of that is real, and none of it means you're broken. These experiences don't define your worth. In fact, they point to the depth of all you've lived through. They show that you've cared, endured, adapted, and you're still here. And that matters more than most people realize. Aging isn't about fading. It's about refining, about letting go of the noise and holding on to what's essential: connection, meaning, and truth. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to bounce back the way you used to. You just need to stay present and let life meet you where you are now with gentleness. Because in this chapter of life, even small joys become sacred. The warmth of a morning cup of coffee, the softness of a familiar song, the look in someone's eyes when they truly see you. Not your age, but your spirit. That's the beauty that aging can bring if we allow it. So as we close this conversation, I invite you to reflect on what spoke to you most today. Maybe write it down. Maybe share it with someone you trust. Let this be more than a video. It can be a doorway back to yourself. And if this message resonated with you, you're not alone. There are thousands of others walking this path too. Some silently, some with questions, some with quiet hope. We'd love to hear from you. What part of today's message stayed with you? What do you wish others understood about aging? Leave a comment below, or simply say, "I'm here." Because sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is show up for ourselves and for each other. And if you'd like to walk this journey together, you can subscribe to this channel. We share real stories, reflections, and reminders that growing older doesn't mean growing lesser. It means growing deeper. Until next time, take care of your heart. You've earned that tenderness,